Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu ta'ala an, this noble companion, teaches us that all the companions would ask the Prophet ﷺ about the good things. What are some good deeds that they can do? What are some good behaviors that they should adopt? But Jabir says that I would ask him about the bad things, the evil things. Like, what is evil? What is an incorrect behavior? What are some of the things I should keep my eye out on that is really harmful to a person's iman? He would ask him about the evils so that he can protect himself from them. Dear parents, dear individuals, we live in a very trying time. A time where ideologies are just all over the place. A time where some people, some sectors, some ideologies are trying to teach us, teach our children, in fact, force feed us and force us to accept some characteristics about human beings that have never been mentioned or perhaps never been mentioned in human history. That a man can get pregnant, or a man becoming more like a woman, and a woman being a man, and a lot of transgender issues, in fact, all transgender issues, we're being forced to accept this. Here in the state of California, this is something that is taught to young children. And the challenges are many. You have challenges on the other side, on the far right, the challenge of racism and the challenges of ethnicities being of a different ethnic background instead of being of a certain majority background. And our children are growing up in this environment. And what we're finding, the political climate is becoming increasingly polarized. What is the future? Allah Ta'ala Alam. Who knows what the future is? It could be worse, but we hope it could be better as well. But what we need to do as individuals, as parents, is protect our family. We need to protect our family. We need to protect them through Quran, through Sunnah, through the principles that Allah, the most beautiful, the most gracious, teaches us. Through the principles that our Prophet, the most blessed man, the most merciful man, the wisest man to ever walk this earth, what he has taught us in terms of our principles. And so we have a responsibility. The challenges are great, but bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, with the help of Allah, with the tawfiq of Allah, we can protect our children. It happens, I've seen models within the Muslim family where the children, mashallah, grow up to be better than even myself. But what can we do? How can we protect our family from these many, many challenges? Well, number one, early education. The earlier we educate ourselves, the easier it is for us to deal with these situations. Now, by early, I mean children. The earlier they are, when you teach them about our principles, the more they will absorb it and live by it. But also, the earlier we are able to study an ideology, the earlier we are able to have answers to those questions, the easier it is for us to navigate the terrain once that ideology becomes dominant, or if it becomes dominant. So early education is key. It's vital to protecting the Muslim family. What can that include? Well, that includes the names and attributes of Allah. I made a video earlier this month. Go and watch that again. Early education. And what are the things that need to be taught, at least in accordance to modern challenges? We need to teach about issues of gender, issues of sexuality, issues of family, issues of credence, right? Meaning, what do we believe in terms of the afterlife? Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the status of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? To what extent must we follow the exact saying of the scholars, the exact opinions of the scholars? This needs to be addressed because every generation is trying or seems to view, I should reword that, the younger generations are viewing Islam in a manner that is different than previous generations. I'm not saying it's all wrong, but no doubt some of it is incorrect and it needs to be addressed. So the first thing we need to do is early education. I can't emphasize that enough. And no, Saturday school, weekend school is not enough. Jummah prayer is not enough to face the challenges. That's the reality of our times. You as parents, father, mother, husband, wife, grandparents, we all have a role to play. Older siblings, we all have a role to play. And it can be done. It's not as hard as you think. We need to be a Muslim family at home. Behave like the Prophet ﷺ at home. Behave like Maryam, like Fatima, like Khadija, like these blessed women. We need to behave like them at home and outside the home as well, so that our children, our family members observe this and thus absorb it. So number one, early education. Number two, follow up, comment, and reinforce what you taught. You have that early education. You can't just teach them something once and expect them to absorb it. You can't just say patience is a virtue, oh my son, oh my daughter, live with patience, be patient in times of difficulty, and expect them to just understand it automatically. We need to follow up with them. And of course, depending on age, it's going to differ in terms of how frequently and when and how we follow up. But follow up with them in terms of what you have already taught them. Comment on things that you see around you. You teach them, this is patience, this is what patience means. This is, Allah loves those who are patient. And then, for example, you're watching a movie. Try and find a moment where patience really comes to light. Or that there's one character that's patient, the other one was impatient, and the results. Or maybe a personal experience. How when you were patient when it comes to a certain investment, how it paid off. Comment on these beliefs, these principles in terms of what you see in the world around you and your children, your family, so that they see the practical side of it, and reinforce. You reinforce it through your own behaviors. Parent teaches their child, don't lie, and they're lying. Be patient, and they're not patient. Be generous, and they're not generous. Where's that going to go? So reinforce what you're teaching, what you're educating your children on in terms of your own action. And the third thing is give them responsibilities. Give them responsibilities. Look, I come from the millennial generation and I am teaching the Gen Z generation. One thing that we are missing is responsibilities. We have everything so easy. And when something gets tough, gets difficult, we want to bail. You have no idea how many individuals I know who cannot hold a part-time job for more than a week. They work for a few days, they quit. They work for a few hours, they quit. I don't understand where this is coming from, but perhaps it's due to this lack of responsibility our parents are giving us. And I don't mean to blame parents, but so many parents, they want to make sure their children are comfortable. No, don't do this. You don't have to help me in the kitchen. Just you go and study. It's okay, I'll take care of this. We need responsibility, because responsibility builds character, builds personality, teaches the individual how to deal with life, how to deal with the environment around them. There's a funny story where a man and a woman get married, and the mother of the husband goes to now her daughter-in-law, and says, look, my daughter, there's one thing that you need to do every single day. And I'm just asking you for this one thing. Make sure his clothes are prepared the night before work. Meaning every night, get him an outfit ready and just hang it up for him. Okay? She does that. She takes her advice. Now one day, she forgets to do this. What happens? The man wakes up in the morning, wears clothing that doesn't match. It's just weird. And he's walking around and someone comes and asks him, what's going on with your clothing? He said, what's wrong with that? I don't understand. What do you mean you don't understand? It looks awful. You're not embarrassed walking around like this? No. Give and take, the conversation led to the following what? His mother, she was the one who every single day would get his clothes ready. And then his wife, every single day, gets his clothes ready. The man has no idea how to wear clothing, period. That is the result of not giving responsibility. Give responsibility. It builds the individual. It builds their life, their character, their personality, and teaches them how to deal with situations so that when these things come, and they're coming, and they're ready, some of it has already come, and who knows what the future holds. Those who are raised with responsibility, the ability to carry and to execute their responsibilities, inshallah will fare better than those who have no idea how to deal with life. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.